Calling all beings. Calling all beings.
Can I get a amen for everybody in free Karen Reed Nation? This is going to be a fruitful evening. But before we do that, let's intro. Welcome back to Calling All Beings. I'm your host, DJ.
And I'm your co-host, Boston Bia.
Can I get an amen for that? Back from Bermuda. So, from her anniversary cruise. All right. So, welcome back, Bia. Man, we have two, people that they don't have YouTube shows, but they're ubiquitous on YouTube. They appear on shows and they help the community try to understand what the hell is going on when this complex set of motions, of filings, of Bederow letters, something that we have in spades tonight, because thank you to Sleuthy Goosey, we have them all. Or at least, we're just going to focus on this Bederow letter and the associated 3 exhibits that came with it. So we booked this a few weeks ago, or actually, I think it was a week or 2 ago. And we're delighted to welcome these two back to the channel. So one of them is a Massachusetts attorney, somebody who is an animal rights activist, and somebody who was present outside at the Karen Reed trial. And that's how he met our other guests. So without further delay, please let us welcome, calling all beings welcome, to my man, attorney Adam Teper.
Thank you, DJ. Thank you, Bia.
Amen, Mr. Teper, attorney Teper. Wait, let me get him back. There you go. Sorry. I meant to take off the applause track and I took off Adam. All right. This young lady is wearing a very cool hat tonight. And it turns out, she looks so cool and authentic wearing these scally caps. But in fact, she's Scottish. So don't go thinking she's Irish. Party people, put your hands together for none other than Nan Gallagher.
Hey guys,
wait, where's my applause? Okay, here it goes. Nan Gallagher. What the hell what is going on with my applause track? I want my money back. Nan Gallagher, up the way from Glasgow in Scotland.
How are you guys doing?
Good.
Not
Doing
bad.
great.
How are you, Nan?
Oh, it's good to see you, Adam. It's great to be
You as
here.
well.
Thank you.
Yes, good to see you.
And we have a treasure trove of material for you guys to cover tonight, just from the last couple of days. So this is super duper exciting. This is meant to be a call-in show. So before we're going to open the phone lines here in a second, but I want to let everybody know the super chats. Hello, Ashley. Hello, Carrie B. Hello, Smadahari. I love that one. That is awesome. You guys are crafty. Chris is here. 3-card Monty, fellow attorney Valhalla Law is here. What's up, Val? The official attorney of Calling All Beings. Let's see. Avnoni is here, and I don't know if you guys recommend this gentleman right here, the legend.
Hey, Dennis.
Dennis
Hey,
Sweeney.
Dennis.
Hey, Dennis.
And someone we're required to use an Irish accent every time we say Kimberly McGuire. Christ's sakes. Melanie Lewis is here. Jules is here, the original gangster of Calling All Beings mods, and AKA the Cat Lady. Badass girl. Okay, so and we'll say this throughout the show, but every donation tonight that you make via the super chat will go to Aiden. Okay, so getting that out of the way, we're gonna put the phone number up there. But Nan, why don't you kick us off with what you wanted to discuss? I have them ready to go up on the screen at your beck and call. Okay.
what do I want to I actually, no, it was an uneventful day. There were no letters dropped. Nobody.
Very
That's,
uneventful.
that's what I said to Nan earlier. I was like, it's been kind of boring around these parts.
Yeah, it's just like, nobody forecasted it in a tweet. Like nobody's been waiting on the edge of their seats for something to drop. But alas, we do have another Bederow by Bederow, and I'm very excited. I was very excited to see it. I was also not surprised at my technological challenges when I tried to access it on Turtle Boy's art. In his article, I could only see I think the first page, and then a dear friend was kind enough to send it to me, although I probably did something wrong. It's always human error when it comes to me. But this letter, which I'm assuming much of your audience has seen already, is absolute fire. I mean, you've got one of Aiden's attorneys, Mark Bederow, who I'm quite certain Adam would agree would have drafted and submitted this letter in conjunction with his other attorney, Timothy Bradel, submitted and probably had been working on this letter all along, but once approximately 4,000 pages worth of documents, most of which were apparently blank, were provided on or about, was it July 7th or something to that effect? Once those materials were handed over, which I will add here was egregiously late. Some of these materials had been asked for since I believe 2023, and certainly had been, the bulk of them, if not all of them, had been in the possession of the Commonwealth since, I want to say it was at least as late as December 2024. I mean, here we are. It's now July. This is unheard of as a litigator, whether you do civil, administrative, or criminal work. I mean, when you get a request, you provide. And in the criminal setting, whether it's a murder trial or a trial on multiple charges for witness intimidation that are really tied, for the most part, to the Karen Read matter, you've got to hand this stuff over as a prosecutor immediately. And as of, I want to say it was last month, or it might have been May, you had, I think it might have been May now, you had the judge, and I don't remember if it was Judge Doolin at the time, you had the judge saying, hand these over in or about, I want to say it was like 2 or 3 weeks. He had been given 2 or 3 weeks, and the prosecutor, Cosgrove, specially appointed, blew that deadline. So what we have here is a masterpiece from Mark Bederow, where he just dumps all over Kate. I'm going to try to keep this PG.
Sure,
Kate Peters, for her, I think the most euphemistic way to phrase it would be for her collusion with the Commonwealth in trying to conjure up, bolster, manufacture charges and to support, which I dare say are unsupported charges against Turtle Boy, also known as Aiden Carney. I don't know if you or Adam or your audience wants me to go through the specifics of it. I know many content creators who have either gone through and read the letter, but what it really appears to me is that in a nutshell, the Commonwealth has a real problem. They either have a situation where the Commonwealth itself, which is prosecuting, has filed and prosecuted these charges against Aiden Carney, that Commonwealth is in a position where it has procured evidence and supporting documentation, recordings, emails, correspondences, and the like from someone, Kate Peters, who has a personal animus towards Aiden. She herself not only has a history of fraud and forgery, self-admittedly so, and a criminal history, criminal background. She also had charges. I don't know if any are still pending against her, but I think there were at least.
Yeah, she's still out on bail right now.
Yeah, thanks, Adam, and certainly feel free to add color to that. Like, I know one of the allegations against her ended up as this letter points out, resolving favorably, which is its own problem, because if she was indeed some type of, quote, confidential informant for the prosecution, then there is at a minimum an appearance of impropriety, that there's what we call a quid pro quo. I'll do this for you if you do this for me. I'll be your confidential informant. I know you guys want Turtle Boy. I'll hand him to you on a silver platter, and I'll give you all of the ammunition you need. But the Commonwealth, in its infinite wisdom or lack thereof, decided to put all of their eggs, or at least most of their eggs, in the hands of an untrustworthy alleged criminal with crimes revolving around her credibility, who has this personal angst and vendetta against Aidan Carney. And now she's in a position where, the Commonwealth is in a position where they really can't use her, because her cover is blown, her credibility is shot. And now the I think he's former specially appointed prosecutor, although I don't think there's been an official removal of him, Ken Mello, he has had his own communications with her, his own inappropriate, in my opinion, dealings with her on a very, very granular level. He's had his paws all over this. Kate Peter, has had her own inappropriate and extremely troubling communications with Tully, Fanning, and I believe Buchanan. Do those names sound familiar to anybody?
Can you say it? No, I'm just kidding.
So,
say it louder for the people in the back.
Yeah, like, it's interesting because many times people say Aidan's matters are unrelated to Karen's matter. Many times people say, no, they are related. People need to really appreciate that he is facing more jail time on the charges against him than Karen was. So, and also, I dare say, and in no way am I minimizing what Karen was facing, because it cannot be minimized. And what she went through cannot be shouted from the hilltops loud enough. But the people who are starting to get into Turtle Boy's charges and the allegations against him should really dig in, because many would say that the charges that he has been charged with and the conduct that he has been alleged to have engaged in that is violative of the Massachusetts witness intimidation statute, this invokes First Amendment issues, freedom of speech, the right to have journalistic privilege, all of the above. So that's like high level what I would say, but I'm happy to get on a more granular level and would cede the floor to my esteemed fellow barrister on the call.
Mr. Teper.
I want to, I agree with everything Nan just said. And, that she didn't have to yield the floor. She can be like one of these guys in the Senate who keeps the floor for 7 hours. But, it goes to the very fact is when you're talking about, if she's a confidential informant, she's been outed. But we have to remember she outed herself.
Yes.
And beyond the questioning the evidence, which it's now come out that, she was doctoring videos, she was doctoring files, fraudulent, like, court filings and mailings, and even so much as to YouTube to try to get his page knocked down. And we have to remember that she actually admitted all of this out loud on a YouTube show. It's so ridiculous that it's almost like we're living a movie script with it being real life. But then on the other side of that, she got information and she's outing, the affiant in this case. And she's posting all kinds of stuff that she wouldn't even be able to get her hands on if it wasn't handed to her by the district attorney's office. Nan can attest, even as attorneys, there was stuff that we can't even get our hands on.
Right.
If they're withholding it from us. But yet you have this alleged witness who's doing all these things, and she's got information that that, isn't accessible to the public. So you've got a deeper level in that. And then, waiting and obviously dumping 5,000 pages, 4,000 pages of discovery and blank documents and all this other nonsense on the defense. And I've had cases where I have been in front of judges that remind me of Judge Canoni. She's not the only one to do that in the Commonwealth. I've been opposite other attorneys and district attorneys who are sketchy in their stuff. I actually was dared to say to call her Shady Katie on the thing. I have one particular opposing counsel in the Commonwealth that I face, and I have nicknamed her Shady Kitty. And this happens more than you think it does, but at the same time, it's a very real, very deep systematic problem. And while we handle this problem in other instances, you say, okay, we know it's a problem, we handle it, we take it, one step at a time. But in Aiden's case, this is a blatant attack on him that we know is frivolous. And then it's an attack on journalism and doing things that, if they were to charge him and find him and the judge or a jury find him guilty, then that's setting a dangerous precedent for content creators, for news media, for private investigators in the court to not even be able to, go ask questions, to be able to, sit outside D&E Pizza and take photos. If I had hired a private investigator, all this stuff falls under that category. And for them to actually take shots at it is dangerous for all of us in a much larger way than I think most of the general public realize. And, whether you like Aiden's style or not, he's a journalist and that's what they do. I said to somebody the other day, if you're really looking at, he can't walk up to you and he can't follow you and ask you questions, then if that's not allowed, then why was Channel 7 allowed to be waiting a parking lot for Karen at the restaurant the day after the verdict and saying, Karen, can we get a minute? Can we get a minute? Yeah. And AJ actually had to stop Channel 7 from coming into the restaurant saying, no, you need to back up. That's it. If you're going to charge Aiden for that type of behavior, why aren't they? And now we have more questions that are being raised at the same time. It's all the same behavior, but because it's him and because it's related to Karen, they're doubling down on things that should not be doubled down on.
Agreed, wholeheartedly. And I mean, I can't speak to all of the charges without looking at them, but most of the charges involve Aiden asking questions that mainstream media has been afraid to ask and has been disinterested in asking. And I want to just make one comment here. I'm going to just send a little message to mainstream media who's not watching this, DJ and Bia, but, right. I want to just send a little message to them. Shame on you for taking interest in Aiden Carney's matters now. Shame on you, because they've been percolating all along. I mean, he was put in jail in 2023 into 2024. Where have you been? He has been clamoring. Free Karen Reed supporters have been clamoring and growing like weeds, and that's in a good way, not in a bad way. There's been a lot of hustle and bustle on YouTube, on social media, and Aiden has been writing article and article after article. And shame on you, because you have a dry news cycle for taking interest in this now. And to the Vinnie Politans of the world and others who have been now like, oh, let's talk about this. This is an important issue. It's always been an important issue as it relates to him. And I know I'm a little biased because I am a very strident turtle rider, as they are referred to. And I know that I also may have some personal knowledge about at least two of the charges. But when I say that, when I make these comments, I'm really just making a broader societal commentary here that this has been important all along. And it would have been equally as important had Karen been convicted. but now you have your dry news cycle. And I will make one other comment, because I am supportive of content creators. I don't make a secret of that. But there have been content creators who have been supportive of Karen Read, but not so vocal about Aidan Carney, and suddenly are. And I'm noticing it. And as someone who is a supporter of Turtle Boy and the importance of the issues that he's facing and the absolute chicanery that is going on in the court system as it relates to him, and the hide the ball that's going on with Cosgrove and Mello and Morrissey behind the scenes, and possibly Brennan as it relates to Aidan. These are pivotal, important issues. I'm not going to stop talking about them, and I think everyone should. So I'll give you a pass, mainstream media, because you're bringing attention, and it's belated and it's needed. But where have you been? So I'm going to get off my soapbox, but I thought it was important to say that.
Yeah, they've been way late to the party. That's clear. And Peter Van Sant and other those got you news shows also walk right up to witnesses and ask them why they did something that was illegal or immoral. And then somehow, though, Turtle Boy's not allowed to do it because they get upset. All right, we got our first. We got 20 pounds. We got 20 pounds from the UK from Kim P. Greetings from past midnight, but not too hot to sleep in the UK. Love this panel. Free Dr. Turtle Boy. Thank you, Kim P. We will donate this to the Turtle. Thank you, darling. Appreciate you. And
I think we need to get you doing your voices, and we need to get Brian LTL doing his Hank voice, and we just have to have a full conversation going on.
Let's do it, man.
Like
Let's do it.
Just in voices.
I agree.
Because I know Nan loves the voice so much. We need a full conversation going on.
I do.
Just an accent.
Nan loves my Brooklyn accent. Let me tell you something, Adam. The thing she likes the best, because she's from the Bronx, is when I do Brooklyn. And I'm happy to do it for her every time I call or I leave her a voice message. I talk like I'm from Brooklyn. I go, Nan, how the hell are you? What are you doing?
I love it.
So,
it gets me going, DJ.
Yeah.
I do. I love it.
Yes.
All right. I want to let people know, if you would like to call in, because we are nearing the 1 hour remaining mark, and you would like to speak with Nan Gallagher and Adam Teper, please give us a call at 719-602-4464, and we will put you on air. Okay? Be brief, be succinct, because usually what happens is when one person calls, then the next person, then, it kind of opens the floodgates. But if you got a question you want to ask them, go for it. And I would say, I would like to ask you, I'd like to go with you, Adam, on this one. What are the ramifications of making a filing using, I believe it was filed in Massachusetts. I don't know if that was a federal filing or a state filing, that Kate copied and pasted her information, then submitted it fraudulently to California, to YouTube. What sort of legal recourse or what actions do you think would be taken from here?
So, I mean, in general terms, for any court, we follow Rule 11, which means that we have to be honest and truthful in any of our filings. We can't put forth any filings or pleadings that have statements of facts that we knowingly make that are not true. And, as attorneys, we can get sanctioned or worse. As far as federal goes, I'm not even going to lie. I wouldn't even be able to guess what the possible penalties are for doing that in federal court. Cause I know, getting bench slapped in state court is bad enough, but to actually, lie about filings and take filings and put your name on them, you're now getting into the realm of not even, violations of false and frivolous filings, but you're getting into like the same atmosphere as filing a false police report. You're now committing knowing lies. And, I'm sure there is both civil and criminal penalties for that. She could get in trouble with the law. She could be charged with crimes. She could be fined money for that. I'm I'm not sure what the actual penalties would be for that, but just based on, what we have to follow as attorneys and how much trouble we would get into if we did something like that, I can only imagine it would be severe. And I'm going based on, so about 6 months ago, I actually was involved in a case where we think that the attorney was letting the client submit files for him and wasn't paying attention to anything. And there were affidavits submitted. It was actually an attorney who's barred in California and in Massachusetts. And one of the filings for Mass, we know it was made fake because it was copied and pasted from a California filing with the California bar number. And then the attorney didn't even have any idea that it was filed. And that person did get massively bench slapped. And now the attorney is actually going through the process with the BBO. So, it could, if it leads to an attorney getting their license suspended, then, I can only imagine that as a general citizen doing that there's got to be some sort of criminal or civil penalties that are going to be severe if they were actually charged and held accountable for their actions, which right now we're not seeing too much.
If I could just chime in on that.
Sure,
First of all, I absolutely agree. But my understanding, and it's really just come to light in reading this letter today. So I'm very interested in seeing how Aiden handles it on his quote YouTube presentation this evening. I like to watch those. But my understanding is that Kate didn't file any kind of fraudulent pleading. She and I'm not implying Adam said otherwise. She took a pleading out of, I believe, federal court, doctored it up, whatever she did to it, whether she took it as a PDF, converted it to Word, changed it, right? Never changed what's called the index number, which is basically an insignia that gets placed on every single filing in every single e-court system nationally and federally, statewide and federally, and then submitted it to YouTube under false pretenses, basically saying this was a lawsuit and it involved this, and this is why there needs to be a copyright strike. By doing that, and I would reserve my opinion until I know more, but by submitting a false pleading to YouTube in support of an application for a copyright strike.
And there it is.
And the index number, so you have your case number, which would be at the top. Sometimes at the bottom, DJ, there would be, pardon me while I put my badass glasses on.
Oh, no worries.
Sometimes at the bottom, there's right? Isn't that there? The bottom.
I didn't get to the bottom of it, but
the bottom of every page often has an index number, although it could be at the top. But either way, what I might be referring to may be at the very top under the case number.
And you see it right there. It says August 22nd of 2013.
Let's see what this one is.
Yeah. So
yes.
YouTube copyright thing.
And she took that and she essentially alleged, she made it look like it was her own, and then alleged that Aiden stole her stuff from YouTube and aired it. And I mean, let's just first of all talk about fair use.
Right.
This
on
is
YouTube.
the case number right there. There it is.
Yeah.
That 113.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Submitting this as your own is still perjury, even though you're not on the stand in court. And like I said, I don't know off the top of my head what the penalties are under the federal statutes for perjury, but I can only imagine that it's not pretty.
Is there a wire fraud also for interstate? Because so I would think there would be like a wire fraud attached to that.
Because if she emailed it, or if she uploaded it to a server that was across state lines, or even within her own state, there could be a wire fraud element to it. And that's why I definitely want to listen to Aiden later talk about it And the fact that Kate Peter, obviously, I know Aiden's been talking about this because I've heard him mention it on his shows. But the fact that Kate Peter has been kind of doubling down and defending herself all along and on someone's YouTube program said, yes, I did this with like reckless abandon, like proud of it, making an admission against her own interest. Which, by the way, tells me no way does she have a lawyer, because no lawyer would ever let her do that. No lawyer would. If she thinks she's smarter than all the lawyers, she thinks she's smarter than all the law tubers, etc. And I will tell you, but by doing that and doubling down and putting her tweets out, even as most recently as this afternoon, I'm going, she has issues. She has some issues. These are my personal views, not that of the program. But I will tell you, I think she should be keeping her mouth quiet. Although selfishly, I love that she keeps talking about it.
Keep it going.
I was gonna say, don't give her, if she's watching this, don't give her any ideas to keep her mouth shut, because she's just digging herself. Yeah, she's digging her hole deeper and deeper. I mean,
that's right.
I think she'll also do what she can. Sorry, Adam. I think she'll also do what she can to save her own behind, and that's why she's alluding to the fact that, hey, I got dirt on you, Morrissey, too. So go ahead. Sorry about that.
No, you're right, Bia, because she's been intimating that, and I can't recall offhand if she's been stating it outright, but she has basically said, like, things that may have been submitted by me or presented may have been doctored or falsified. She may be signaling or outright communicating with the Norfolk County District Attorney's Office that she somehow needs protections, and they appear to have been cutting her loose a bit lately. So she is in a real pickle, I guess would be the only way I could say it, because, in doing what she's done, these, at a minimum, civilly tortious advances. That's a, civil, at a minimum, Aiden has civil rights that he can invoke against her. I'm not talking about a civil rights action per se, which might come in the future as well. I'm talking about a civil lawsuit. She has taken steps to tortiously interfere with not only his freedom, but his right to make a living, to something called economic advantage. She may, I believe, have caused him emotional distress. She may have, in various ways, violated terms that Aiden may have had with her if he had a contract with her when she did work for him. I don't know. I'm speculating. But I imagine, and she certainly defamed him. I mean, I'm stepping over that. Aiden has signaled over the last several months that he had plans to file 5 defamation lawsuits. I think that number probably will grow. And he had filed 1 thus far and kind of says, who's going to be next. He's being mindful, as are his attorneys, as to statutes of limitations on those actions, which I believe the statute of limitations for defamation is 3 years in Massachusetts. So for Kate to be in the pickle that she's in, I would be very quiet if I were her, but I'm selfishly hoping she disregards my advice.
Yeah. I've got another dono from Sue Mo. Another donation from the UK just to hear that English accent again. Well, you heard it. I can't be asked to do it again, can I, Sue? I'm from Southend in Essex. You know what I'm talking about, mate. Anyway, so there you go. That's my attempt at Southend in Essex, where I have a couple of good friends. I used to ride motorcycles with those guys when I lived there. So yeah, I will do any accent for a dono. I will make a fool of myself doing accents for a dono. I'll even do a Jamaican one, man. I ain't got no problem at all, man, doing that if I need to, man. Just to get a dono for Title Boy, man.
You'll also do it for free, just saying.
And I'll do it for free, man, just on the phone, mate.
You're making me want to watch. Do you remember that movie Cool Runnings with the Jamaican bobsled team? Like, I want to watch that movie now. You're actually have a very good Jamaican accent.
Thank you very much, Nan. That means a lot coming from you, man. So anyway, all right, we've got a couple other things. We got 5 oh man, you guys are really hooking us up here. Okay, we have Ruth Christie, which is great steak. Thank you very. Oh wait, Lou's from England. You're from the UK, aren't you, Ruth Christie? What part of the country are you from? Are you from Yorkshire, like our friend Vicky? Let's see. The cat lady. Thank you very much for becoming a member. The cat lady. Thank you very much for 10 Colin Albean's memberships, man. That means a lot to us. Nicole M became a member, and then she gifted 5 more. Can you believe that, Nan Gallagher? These people, they all
so
kinds
generous.
of giving stuff away, man. Thank you very much. All right. Let's go back. Cool Runnings, man.
By the way, I don't want to shift topics, but
yes, man. Thank you, Carmen.
There's also Alan Jackson's letter, which dropped this week.
Yes.
Oh, yes. Do you need it
Yeah.
on screen, or do you already have it, Nan, that you want to reference?
I mean, I don't have it handy, but if you,
I'll get it for you.
necessarily.
Yeah.
Thank you. I love it. You should come work for me. But essentially,
I might do that.
I love being on your show, guys. It's always so laid back. I can just sit back and kick my feet up and just have real conversation with you guys. And to everyone, I usually always say this whenever I can, but DJ and oh my God, your head's gonna explode,
Right?
DJ and Bia have been the sweetest people to me.
Aw.
They really have been so tender and supportive of me. Among others, I'm not saying they're the only ones, but they are so sweet to me. I love hanging out with you guys. So, but yes, AJ dropped his letter this week, which is, well, first of all, that was fire, and that letter is so interesting to me because the letter he submitted, was it to Morrissey? Who was it to? Now,
I think it was Commissioner Cox, right?
oh, yes. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Commissioner, pardon me. Yes. Commissioner Cox. And he has now set forth, basically he's playing chess with the Boston PD and frankly, the Commonwealth in general by basically saying, you guys have a real problem here because either Kelly Dever, the disgraced Boston police officer, and she still is a Boston police officer out on family medical leave, which I won't comment on. I mean, maybe there's a legitimate reason for her to be out of work. But either she is incredible, meaning unbelievable, or Cox, Michael Cox, I believe his name is, the Boston police commissioner, is lying. But either way, AJ Alan Jackson wants her listed on the Brady list. I have seen buzz on Twitter or X that says, oh, she's on the list now, but I know there's a fake Brady list circulating, and I'm not putting credence in that until it's fully vetted. But she has been found at a minimum to be unbelievable as a witness, or has a incredibly and debilitating flawed memory, which would make her unfit to serve as a police officer, because one of the responsibilities of a police officer is not only to be able to testify in court, but to properly observe and document things contemporaneously in reports so that they can be treated as evidence, respected as truthful evidence. So either she's lying or she's got a flawed memory. She needs to be on that Brady list. So again, I don't know if it's legit that she's been put on it. I would doubt that she has, just because AJ's letter, I believe, was dated July 10th. And it would be probably hasty for her to be put on the Brady list this soon, especially in the wake of this letter from AJ. What do you think, Adam?
So, yeah, I highly doubt that she's on the Brady list already. If they were going to, it's probably in the works, but obviously, there are stages and steps for that. I've got lots of questions with this, and I want to know, just based on the way this letter was written, did Cox get this letter before he was confronted by the media? Or did he get it after? I want to know whether he got called out and he knew he was getting called out by Attorney Jackson before he decided to go to the media and is like, oh, I don't know who this person is. I wasn't there.
That's interesting.
But, and these are my own personal thoughts, but I don't think that she has mental or physical health issues that cause her to have bad memories. She was very honest and very specific with what she told the FBI. And then her story only changed after her department called her in and people told her what to say and that she must have been wrong. I mean, she even knew, like, she couldn't say how late she stayed at the department, but she knew she was there. But she had all these details fresh and very specific in her mind. And it wasn't until after the Boston PD, whoever it was, got their hands on her, that she then decided, nope, I'm wrong in everything I see. And, you know, not to add to speculation, but there are rumors, there are stories. I've heard a lot. You know, Brian Albert was a very powerful person in Boston PD. He also wasn't very liked. You know, he was that strike team member. He was that person that, number one, if
Vic
I'm a
Mackey.
police department, yes, sorry, from the Shield, and even Vic fell in the end. Like, it all came crashing down because he thought he was untouchable. Yes. But just like the TV show, you know, the amount of cases that Brian Albert has touched, you have to believe that the police department is going to do whatever they can to try to cover for his actions, because if it comes out that he did all this, then every single case he's had in the past is now going to be re-looked at. I mean, obviously the Commonwealth kind of fails in that territory because, you know, every case the Commonwealth is touched now with Proctor and Buchanan and the medical examiner and everything else. The appellate court probably has a stack of habeas corpus motions on their desk. That poor, I know we have a brand new SJC and appellate court clerk, and that poor person, just, I feel so bad now. But it goes to the level of shock and wonderment and questioning. And for me, on a personal level, Cox endured almost the same thing that John O'Keefe did. He was beaten the crap out of and left for dead.
Yes, right.
In the 1990s, and he sued the Boston Police Department. And this is exactly what happened to John, except for John wasn't so lucky to be able to survive. And for obviously the circumstances of him leaving and becoming chief of police in Minnesota and then suddenly coming back and becoming commissioner of a department that he sued because, you know, he got the crap kicked out of him. I don't want to necessarily speculate about what's going on there, but I have my own thoughts. But for him to then outright go on the media and be like, I don't know this person. And does anybody feel like the fact that he called her this person when we have text messages saying the guy never came in the house? I just feel like that line of wording is way too coincidental for me. And as an attorney, I don't believe in coincidences at all. But then, you know, he's like, I never spoke to her. I was in Michigan. No, bro, you were in Michigan when John died. We don't even have a date on when she was actually called into the commissioner's office, but he immediately is making blanket statements being like, I wasn't here. I was in Michigan. Mm-hmm. Well, we know that's not true because you're the commissioner here. You're not spending all your time in Michigan. And then for you to say that the Karen Reed trial's over, we have more important and other things to talk about. Like, you have a Boston police officer dead, and we still need justice for John. But not only that, you have a Boston police officer who died, who was found on the lawn of another Boston police officer. And then you're going to tell me that you weren't involved, that you had no knowledge, that people weren't keeping you updated. And then you're just going to be like, nope, she was found not guilty, so we're not even going to worry about it. I get that you have a department of 3,000 employees that you look out for as a commissioner. You might not know everybody personally. I get that. But this was such high profile, involving multiple Boston cops, that there is absolutely no way that he did not know, that he did not have any clue, And there is no way somebody at least wasn't texting him and being like, you need to pay attention to this. Absolutely none.
By the way,
he's a
sorry,
straight up
DJ.
liar. I'm sorry. He's a straight up liar. I mean, that's Gray. I didn't see where you DM'd me. Let me know. I found one. It looks like Meredith's is fairly clear. If we end up reading it, I DM'd it also to Adam, Bia, and Nan in case you want it on your own computer. It's there if you want to reference any of that letter. But that I was so agitated the other day when we discussed this. He's a straight up liar. He says one of his officers found almost dead on the lawn of another officer, and you're telling us I don't know anything. He would have detectives from BPD calling every day, checking in with these a-holes from Norfolk DA's office to find out what the status is of my officer that's dead and the other guy that they didn't even bother to knock on the door. And this happened in Fort Walton Beach when we had an airman killed by a sheriff at his own doorstep. And the AFSOC commander I know had OSI calling the sheriffs every day. What's the update? What are you guys going to do? What's happening? And of course they arrested the guy just days after the shooting. But and BPD would have done the same thing, except for that guy is a straight up liar. He knew exactly what was going on. So I just wanted to put that out there. And I also want to say, Bia, do you have a question that you want to ask for either of these two folks, or Nan may have had something as well?
I don't remember what I was going to say other than, oh, yes, I do. When I saw that Cox took this position with the media, and I'm not a taxpayer in Massachusetts, and it's easy for me to kind of be opinionated and snarky from afar. But my thought was there needs to be now an immediate inquest as to both of those individuals. You now have the commissioner of the Boston PD and a low-level Boston police officer who exhibited signs of untrustworthiness at a Superior Court trial, who frankly lied to the FBI and is now couching it as a false memory. It was a lie. So you've got two Boston police officers who are at diametric odds with one another. Sit them down and start asking questions. Who's lying? Somebody's going to break. I always hate when there's two people with varying positions, and these types of internal affairs organizations and agencies that are investigative will like separately interview people and say, well, what really happened? What do you think? Did you meet with her? What did you ask her to be up in your office? Put them both, sit them down next to each other, and frankly, shine some cameras on it, and have the mainstream media, which now seems to care, focus on it. Have YouTubers focus on it, and get somebody to break, because somebody's lying. Either she was invited up there, and she may not, and to cut her a little bit of slack, which is minimal, she may not have been invited by him. She was likely invited by the corporate counsel for the city of Boston, or somebody who was the lawyer or representative of the union, or some lower level police officer lower than the commissioner, and was told, you've got to come to Commissioner Cox's office. She didn't just go there on her own.
Of course not. Yeah, she would have been turned away.
But if you listen to the if you listen to her cross-examination closely, it's not clear who invited you. How did you know that you were going to be there? So sit them both down. And I know this is very in a perfect world, but sit them both down, shine some lights and cameras on them, and get somebody to break. Because at a minimum, they're both going to say, nope, she never met with me. I never asked her to come. And she's going to say, yes, I did. They both look like complete idiots. One other point on this, and then I'll drop it, is I mentioned this on another stream in a chat earlier, which was, I feel respectfully to the defense team for Karen Read that there was one little opportunity missed in her cross-examination, in Kelly Devers' cross-examination. wanted AJ to, as he was questioning her, to say, tell me what you said to the agents. By the way, I mean the FBI, but they couldn't say the FBI. Tell me what you said to them. He asked her in different ways. He says, the report says this, or, but you mentioned to them that you saw Higgins and why is his name Berkowitz go into the Sally Port for a wildly long period of time. You thought it was weird, correct? Now, I know why he did that, and that was good lawyering. That was surgical cross-examination. Nothing wrong with that because he got her to make admissions that way. But what he should have also done, in my opinion, because she raised the false memory flag, which is just illogical to me, I think he should have said, tell me everything you said to those agents. Lock her down on what she said and what she now is claiming is a false memory. This may be a distinction without merit or really unimportant to an analysis, but it tends to, from my experience when cross-examining witnesses, it tends to ferret out the real story here and can even bear more fruit than was even what was in the FBI investigator's report. So I just thought it was a little missed opportunity. It might have even drawn this more to a light, because I do think sunlight is the best disinfectant on these issues.
And the way she also said her job is on the line. Her livelihood depends on how she testifies.
Yes.
Like, how more telling could that be?
I can't believe she uttered those words. And that wasn't in response to a question. Right. Like, he didn't say, but AJ later said it. He got her to, on, I guess it was recross. But he basically got her to give that additional testimony, which he used as a sword against her. And, and he was fired up. And your job depended on it, right? Like, he was really getting that to be the last thing the jury heard on the matter. I'd be interested if the juror 11, Paula Prado, I don't know if I've heard her speak about what she thought of Dever. I'm sure she has mentioned it, or the foreperson, what they thought of her credibility, because it's just, she has none.
I think I've heard Paula on some program she's been on talk about how they absolutely hated her, that she was absolutely cocky. And I don't want to catch flack from the YouTube audience, but my testimony depends on the way the way I'm testifying almost screams like they're going to kill me if I don't tell you that I didn't see them. And it almost begs the question, was she saying that because of her being scared, or was she saying that just because she wanted to be belligerently against the defense? She definitely was scared. So let me just caveat that I had a very, very quick interaction with her outside on her way into court the morning she testified. And we locked eyes, and I didn't realize it was her until it was way too late. And I'm like, oh no, I don't need to be, accused of anything. But we locked eyes. We locked eyes, and I nodded my head. But you can generally look at somebody and you can tell if they're scared, if you can tell there is something wrong. And she wasn't in a I'm ready to fight, I'm ready to go, I'm pissed off look in her face. It was a, oh shit, I don't want to be here. And then obviously you saw how quickly she jumped up from that stand and booked it out of the courthouse. Yes. It begs the question on whether or not that attitude was by her own choosing, or whether that attitude was somebody behind closed doors told her that if she doesn't do this, she's going to be sorry. And I've had clients that have had to go through that. I've had clients that have been threatened. I even know, like, I became an attorney because I was the victim of police abuse of power. And in my own case, I had witnesses that actually stopped talking to me and it got back to me that they were threatened that them and their families will regret it if they testify on my behalf. So I'm aware it happens. I know it happens. I've experienced it personally. I've seen it as an attorney now for the last couple of years. So, you balance it. Like, I'm not sticking up for her in any perspective. The way she was in court was absolutely astronomically wrong, unprofessional, whether or not she was threatened or whatever. She was 23 at the time of the incident, 26, 27 when she's on the stand in 2025. She's a young kid, easily susceptible to people threatening her, easily susceptible to telling her mind needs to be changed. She's a new officer. She wants to do her job, but you're getting on the stand and you're doing all this. You have to realize that you are no longer going to be able to do your job. You are pretty much have to realize that your days of being a police officer are done, because now you've said false memories. Now you've said you don't even remember where things are located in the police department. Let me tell you something. Cameras around the building are right in front of the computer screens in dispatch. It's like, it's just a giant security room. You walk in and they've got computer screens. The dispatchers are in charge of watching the holding cells to make sure prisoners don't do something stupid to themselves. They've got cameras in the garages. They've got cameras outside. The cameras are all over dispatch. There's no way you're saying, well, I don't know where the cameras are located. That's nonsense. And that's every police department. They might be weirdly changed. There might be a dispatch room in some departments, but it's out in the open in a common area, like a giant open space in other departments, but it's still set up fairly the same way. And now you've got somebody who's never going to be able to be on the field. She's never going to be able to arrest anybody, because if she does, first thing I'm doing is calling her in to testify. And I'm going to be like, how long have you been an officer? And in the past, you've had false memories. And I'm going to attack her credibility based on her job before I even get into the credentials of whatever case I'm in, because I'm going to set it up where you've lied in the past. So how do I not know that you're lying now?
Right.
Everything you say now is brought into question because we don't know whether you're telling the truth, because it's already proven that you've lied once. And if you've lied once, you could be lying again. And so she can't even be a records clerk, because I'm not going to ask her if she fuddled with records. Like, you can't even have a desk job processing anything anymore, because I'm going to accuse you of screwing up records, screwing up chain of custody. Did you let somebody in the evidence room that wasn't supposed to be there? You don't remember? There's so many things now that she's never going to be able to be a police officer.
Best I can tell, Adam, she ain't got a shred of credibility about her. I mean, I wouldn't trust her to walk me dog, for Christ's sakes. All right, so that's my best.
Definitely not.
Cockney. Someone wanted me to do a Cockney. I think it was Karma Dharma. So,
but this makes me think of, as I'm hearing Adam go on about this, this obviously is why AJ wants her on the Brady list, why she must be on the Brady list, because she is compromised. It's kind of like when your cover is blown, as in the Mission Impossible movies, and you've got to be disavowed. She needs to be completely disavowed at this point.
we're going to give an applause for my brother Mazza.
Oh, hi, Mazza. How are you? I enjoyed your stream earlier.
And Lindsay's here. Hey, Lindsay. What's up, buddy?
But interestingly, think about it. AJ's letter, I believe, was July 10th. Karen's team doesn't have to do a single thing anymore for her, and they still are. He didn't need to send, unless I'm missing a Massachusetts law that I don't know about. Her team, including AJ, did not need to send that letter to Cox. I think that does also trigger kind of Adam's question earlier, which was, did Cox know about AJ's letter when he had the cameras shoved in his face or not? But look at what Karen's team is doing. I know the other day when Aiden was interviewing AJ, and AJ said, I'm going to be her lawyer forever, basically. But they're still working. Not only this is an example that they are working to protect her rights, to make sure post-verdict that her rights are honored, that if she has any needs from a litigation standpoint or a compliance standpoint with the terms of her OUI conviction, all of the above, make sure that the judgment is processed. But at the same time, AJ's letter protects all constituents of Massachusetts, including criminals, including taxpayers, including victims of crimes and their families. It actually protects the police and the prosecutions a little bit as well, because at this point you have a compromised police officer whose testimony in the future is going to get shredded, just like you've been seeing if anyone's been following the Brian Walsh case. You're looking at Brian Walsh, who is accused of murdering his wife. You are seeing that, people like Buchanan and others are being asked tough questions about procedures they followed when procuring some of the evidence out of the Walsh home. So that's why these types of things are very important.
We have a question for you here, Nan, from your fellow attorney, Valhalla Law. If the Commonwealth dismissed TB's case, would it make it easier to keep all the impounded docs secret forever? In your all's legal opinion, I think is what she wants.
Unfortunately, I think so. Yes, because if they dismissed the case and they felt the need to keep your confidential, not so confidential informants and the names of the affiant and everything, they could use that as an excuse for safety reasons. It would be no different than Canoni's blaming Aiden for the reason why she's got to impound the juror list in Karen's case indefinitely, even though we know that it's not Aiden or any of us that are doing the harassing of the jurors. Kate Peter. Sorry, I got a cough. It could be used as a reason to not unimpound the information and keep it all private. Absolutely. Unfortunately.
Yeah.
Swiss misses here. Yodelay. Hee-hoo. Sorry. All right.
But I would compliment what Adam has answered here to Valhalla, just saying, look, it's a public right to know. There should be a public right to access. If the charges are dismissed, which I have a feeling, I don't think I'm alone. A lot of these Bederow letters are kind of trying to shepherd the prosecution to just dismiss the charges, which should be done. But, instead of just filing motions to dismiss, which if you saw, 2 months ago, 3 months ago when one was argued, and then I believe it was 6 charges were dismissed, but there's approximately 10 remaining. He's trying to shepherd them towards dismissing all of them, which I don't know the likelihood of success of that on its own without further analysis. Hopefully the prosecutor does the right thing, but if the charges are dismissed, any member of the public can make a request for the evidence and the documents that were impounded up in Massachusetts to see what evidence was there. Some of these charges have been languishing for years. So presumably a lot has been going on, although I don't think anything's been going on. But I think if I were requesting the documents and I was a taxpayer, I would say these cases have been going on for years. These charges as to Aiden Carney, I want to see what's behind the curtain. What was all the evidence, and see what can be unfolded. I just don't know how the likelihood that request would be granted.
And he can't take civil action against them, right? Because of positionally. Am I right?
The charges are dismissed.
Yeah.
If the charges are dismissed outright by the prosecution with prejudice, meaning permanently, not reserving the right to bring them back again. Yes, Aiden could still file a civil rights action.
Yep.
They wasted
days in jail.
His time.
Yeah. Like that's the thing. He spent time in jail already. Sorry, not to cut you off, Nan. But yes, absolutely. Like, I actually have 1983 claims for clients open in Massachusetts right now against some local police departments. And, they did throw him in jail for 60 days. They took away his freedoms. And if it comes out, all these Bederow letters, Mark Bederow is one of the best in his craft. I have an immense amount of respect for him, and I've been in the courtroom watching Tim work. I have an immense amount of respect for Tim Bradel. They're positioning themselves to take care of Aiden in more ways than one. And if it comes out that they were relying on Kate Peter and all of her information is not credible, and then all of a sudden, 2 and 3 and 4 years down the line, now you're just going to be like, we're going to drop the charges. We're sorry that we screwed you over and threw you in jail. They still, it's now a conspiracy to violate his civil rights, not just a violation of civil rights. And then, which is section 1985, the conspiracy to violate civil rights with a state actor. And then section 1986, which is a failure of the state to prevent the conspiracy, which would hold the state accountable for the Norfolk DA directly for failing to stop that conspiracy. And I think he really does have a strong case. And it all comes full circle, because we're witnessing a timeline, our own timeline of events, that there's not equal enforcement of anything. And you're looking at, like, even Judge Doolin was like, oh yeah, the window charge. And he giggled and laughed on the stand, because you're literally charging him for, like, waving in a window. Like, okay, so Aiden chose to look like an idiot. How many of us have not done that at some point in our lives? But
I have many times.
The bigger question is, and this goes for any one of us, not even related to Karen Reed, but the only way you'd know what Aiden said is if you were recording audio on that camera. And if you're recording audio on that camera, then you're violating Massachusetts wiretapping statutes, because you should not be recording me talking while I'm outside of a restaurant or walking on the sidewalk, or, and so why isn't he being charged? Yet again, Albert's getting away with everything. Why isn't he being charged for criminal violations of a wiretapping statute, but yet you're going to hold Aiden to something that the only way you'd be able to say, oh, I knew what he said, was because you're getting audio. And obviously, if this goes to trial, Bederow's going to be able to bring up the fact that you can't use that evidence. That's obviously fruit of the poisonous tree. You can't use illegally obtained evidence. So the audio, everything's going to be thrown out. But at the same time, you have people knowingly committing crimes that are not being charged, but yet you're using those same people as witnesses to charge Aiden.
Yeah, I can't really comment much on that charge, but there's two counts, because there's 2 people claimed to have their feelings hurt by Aiden talking to a window. But I will say that while there may be some evidence that presumably was procured unlawfully by recording without the consent of the people on the sidewalk, there might be another recording that was procured lawfully. I'll have to just wait and see.
Yeah, that is very interesting. People are sort of hypothesizing, is she going to hide behind the McAlberts? What's she going to do now? Why is she on leave? I don't know why she's on leave right now. So I don't know what the reason for that is, but Sandow was asking here about where did she get that term false memory. And so we may as well throw this at you two, because Bia and I have hypothesized that BPD Legal gave her that term to say on the stand, that she would not have dreamt that up. She had something that would be ambiguous enough and not be legally actionable against her, that she could explain away the lie. But that's what do you guys think about that false memory? Where would she have gotten that?
Go ahead, Adam.
So I just want to first caveat that Dara Sandow is my former boss.
Hi. Welcome, Dara.
Her and I have some joint cases together. We still work together in Massachusetts all the time. So hi, Dara. I agree that I think when she said that she spoke to BPD's legal counsel and she spoke to BPD, that they were telling her exactly what to say and how to say it, because in my opinion, in my theory, the way she kind of just went on and dove into certain things, she sounded like she was hitting talking points. She needed to hit those talking points. So, I gave you an answer, but I remember I was supposed to hit this. I was supposed to mention this. This was a bullet point. So now I've got to go deeper so I can make sure I make my point. Those were all systematic things that are being said that she's coached. There's none of us, if we're trying to figure out, oh, I screwed up, I didn't remember that correctly, the term false memory would not be the first thing that we're thinking about.
No.
And so I think that it was absolutely given to her by legal counsel during the coaching of exactly what she needed to say. And then again, it all goes back to where the hell was her union reps?
Yeah, I think, she was definitely over prepped. In fact, when she was asked certain questions, in addition to it feeling like talking points, it literally just felt like she was memorizing her answer. And I have a feeling someone invented the false memory concept. I will also add, because I've been saying this all along, it's my personal opinion based upon 25 years of dealing with the FBI and the Department of Justice in my practice, which is an experience I don't enjoy. And I don't think anyone does. They're not nice. I mean, they're just not fun to deal with. They're kind of unforgiving as an agency and the legal representation of the agency. But with that said, it's always been my opinion since this issue popped up that there's no way Kelly Dever or Dever, whatever her name is, spoke to the quote legal department for the FBI and explained herself that, this was what I might have conveyed to you, but I've now seen this timeline, which clearly shows that I could not possibly have seen what I saw and conveyed what I saw, and it's a false memory. And they said, oh, that's okay. It was made in good faith. You're good. Let me pat you on the back and give you a lollipop and send you on your way. That doesn't happen. And I've had multiple clients over the years where they've wanted to change their testimony in not only interviews, but proffer interviews where they've had to sit and give evidence to the feds, whether it was the DEA, the FBI, there's some other federal agencies, which I'm drawing, they're not coming to my mind right now, but the doctors I represent will say, oh, you know what? I want to change how I said that. I'm like, okay, I'll try. And I look like a complete idiot when I go back to them or sit my client again before them to change his story. Like the Department of Justice, no way. That never happened. I think she is shading the truth as to that point, as well as to her memory for that day. And then the false memory itself, well, not only is it a lie, but I have always been unsettled with the fact that I guess she was working a shift. The shift ended in the 3:00 something hour, and she did not know with certitude when she left. So how could she be certain that she was not still there chumming around after shift with her buddies and colleagues and was there contemporaneously when the vehicle arrived? Also, even if she saw this external evidence, meaning this timeline produced by the defense, which indisputably showed when the vehicle arrived at the Sally Port, that doesn't make her memory a false memory. That's also bothered me. Her memory is a genuine memory. It's not her job to reconcile what her memory is based on what the false memory, when the car arrived at the Sally Port. Your memory is your memory. Do you know whose job it is to decide what is actually what happened here? That would be the jury. But if you're going to sit before a jury and say, nope, it was unequivocally false, I did not recall that properly, that's kind of why I wish AJ would have asked her, tell me exactly what you said agents.
It looks like we have a call coming in.
Oh,
Call from
Reggie from Boston, man.
to accept, press 1. To send a voicemail.
Okay, who did we have on air? I didn't hear your name. Sorry about that, Nan.
wait.
Reggie from Boston,
Reggie.
man. How you doing?
Reggie, how you doing, man?
Yeah, man.
What do you got?
Good, man. Huh? I talk to Nan?
You can, like naan, like the Indian bread. Yes, go ahead.
Yeah, Nan. How you doing there, Nan?
I'm fine. How are you?
All right, you got to hurry up. You got a serious
what are you
question?
doing later? Yes, I got one for Nan.
Let's go.
Does she think Higgins left Karen holding the bog down?
Holding the
The
what?
bog down. The bog down.
I don't know what.
Higgins left Karen holding the bog down.
The Bogna. I think he's trying to be funny with his accent. All right, we need serious calls here, man. Come on. All right, we let him go. All right, the phone line is open though for someone who's got a serious question.
Can I add to that, Nan?
Please.
You know
Yes.
what I always wondered too, which I know it wasn't really the defense. Like the defense got this information from the feds regarding Dever, but why didn't they look into her, like her overtime record? Because she said she was on overtime, and why didn't anybody look to see what her schedule was that week when she clocked in? Would that have been overstepping? Or why wouldn't they
No.
have looked into that? I've always wondered, like, we could have, if we had proof she really was there till 9 o'clock at night, then that could have been presented and said, what do you mean a false memory? You were there when the vehicle arrived at the Sally Port.
Yeah, that's a great question, Bia, because I'm sure you thought the same thing, Adam. Like I was thinking, why don't they, if the defense knew that as of trial 1.0, that she was not going to testify favorably or in accordance with their defense, why didn't they make a request to procure the overtime records? Ask for them, and maybe they did. Like there's a lot we don't see behind the scenes. We don't see what discovery the judge didn't allow or what's argued at sidebars. So the overtime records would have been very illustrative to someone like me, because I would have been able to see, okay, this is however many hours she worked in a given shift. Also, just the comings and goings of, not that we would have gotten a robust disclosure, but the comings and goings in the Sally Port or other doorways and entrances. She has a key card, presumably. That's my understanding from listening to Higgins' testimony about key card access to and from places in the police department. So I don't know. I do think that would have helped from an impeachment standpoint to be able to kind of get Dever to try to shepherd her into fine-tuning this alleged false memory. That's a great point. Maybe you should be an investigator.
Ooh, look at that.
I'm gonna jump on that and just say that yes, my thought is that we don't actually know that they didn't.
Yes.
Alan and even Alessi and Yannetti, when they've been doing their rounds, have kind of sort of been like, I'm not gonna go there with certain things. And they've all said that they have a ton of stuff that we don't know about. And AJ keeps saying it's not over. So we don't know that they don't have that. We don't know that that AJ doesn't have documents that show that it wasn't a false memory. She was indeed in there at that time and was working there. And the time punches show she was there at that time. We don't know. So my thought is that maybe they do. And we're just not going to see it right now.
Yep.
I just want to, Noodles Mama, I need context to what she said to me in that comment that you just put up. But you don't have bathrooms when you're in a prison cell. Toilets right on camera.
To accept, press 1. To send a voicemail.
Good evening, Kyle. You're on the air with Nan Gallagher and Adam Teper and Boston Bia and myself.
I'm in great company. Thank you very much.
Pleasure.
Hope he is a long-time worker. first time caller.
Pleasure to have you.
31 years of Dallas fire. And when completely agnostic, I heard so much static about the Karen Reed thing, and I went and watched the trial gavel to gavel, the first one. They lost, day one, when they were describing the scene, and I think having answered thousands of motor vehicle accidents, probably hundreds of motor pedestrian accidents. This doesn't fly. Anyway, the company that you're in right now, I love the company.
I'm trying to hear what you're saying.
We can't hear you.
We're having a lot of difficulty hearing you,
wait a
Kyle.
minute.
Please
Okay.
speak up, and let's get your question in there.
Let me do this because
Now we hear you loud and clear. That's good. Go ahead with your question.
It might be problematic.
Yep.
Yeah, I was agnostic on the first trial. I watched the gavel. 31 years in Dallas. First day they lost me. The Commonwealth lost me. Based on the injuries and the team description and everything else, I've answered thousands of motor vehicle accidents, probably hundreds of motor pedestrian accidents. And it did not make sense. The company you're keeping right now is fantastic, and I love the fact that they are keeping this in the forefront. It needs to be in the forefront until this is settled, because it scares the shit out of me.
Yeah. I mean, so let me ask you: are you a law enforcement professional?
I was Dallas Fire.
Oh, you're a fire. Okay, so you've been to accidents. You know what you're looking at when you see a vehicle, a pedestrian accident.
Absolutely.
Okay, and so yeah, it's very scary. And actually, because we've all said, I mean, every person on this panel has said this over and over. If this could happen to Karen, it could happen to anyone. And she's not a minority. She's a person of means. She's from Massachusetts. She should have been as favorable a person to look at as equally as the Alberts as anyone. But she wasn't, because she wasn't one of the elite. And actually, Adam's friend, did you say her name is Darla Sandow? Is that correct?
Dara Sandow of
Dara
Sandow.
Sandow. And she's saying right here, Kyle, it's not just police, it's attorneys too. We need to get rid of absolute immunity in the courtroom for attorneys. And that is because, and I don't know what her reference is for that, but Hank Brennan lying, manipulating, not showing evidence to even his own witnesses. So this has shed light on a lot of different things, Kyle. And that is the amount of power that the state police have, particularly when there isn't an agency above them. Like I've used the GBI, like the Georgia Bureau of Investigation, the Colorado Bureau of Investigation. They can perhaps oversee what the state troopers are doing. If the feds do not do something in this case, there is nobody overseeing them. There's nobody that can stop them. And it's only going to be people like Bederow, Bradel, Karen civil attorney, the South African gentleman, that find a nugget where they find an illegality. And then they have a judge who's not Bev, who appeared to be complicit in trying to help them to prosecute this case as best she could. It's going to be up to a judge like we saw that Aiden had the other day and in June to hopefully call out the Commonwealth on these things. So I appreciate your perspective. It is a scary time. Anything else?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. The one thing that I think is a major problem is the default to qualified immunity. That should be earned, not the default.
Yeah. You got
Interesting point.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Hey,
Thanks
thank
for
you for taking my
calling.
call.
Thank you
Thank
so
you
much,
for
Kyle.
calling.
We hope to hear from you again, sir.
And DJ,
Bye-bye.
let me caveat. DJ, let me caveat
Please.
that I know what Dara is referencing in that comment, and
Sure.
you wouldn't believe some of the stuff that goes on.
Oh, please. Yeah. And thank you for another super sticker, Ruth Christie, who does have a Cockney accent. She knows how to talk like she's from East London. We got another call from White Plains, New York. How you doing?
Call from.
Jay from New York.
To accept, press.
Jay from New York. Oh, uh-oh, what happened? Now we have another caller. We've got someone from Lawrence, Mass calling in. We can only take one at a time.
Okay.
This is Jay from New York.
Yeah, how you doing?
All right, go ahead. Go get him, brother, from White Plains. Yeah. Right near where I grew up. Good.
Cool. Could I ask Nan and what's his name? Adam?
Adam, yes.
Yes, sir.
The one question. Okay, for Nan, has she ever given bukkake?
Oh man, come on, dude.
I knew it was the same caller.
Yeah, I thought it was the same jackass. All right, let's the person who called in from Lawrence, Mass, please call back in. I thought it was the same guy who tried to alter his accent, but I wasn't 100% sure because he probably had a Google voice. Or I could try to call the person from Lawrence and see if we can get him in. So just give me 1 sec.
Save the phone number, DJ.
I've got it. It's a 914. Oh, someone's calling from Minnesota.
Call from.
Noodles Mama.
To accept, press 1. To send a voicemail, press 2.
Oops. Hang on. Who is that? I didn't hear the name. Hello?
Noodles Mama.
Oh, hi, Noodles Mama. I'm so glad you're on there. So let's get this out of the way. What we got to do right here. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, Noodles Mama. Happy birthday to you. And what you have in the background, make sure you turn off your YouTube in the background so that you're only listening through the phone till we hang up, okay? Uh-oh. She's gone.
Is it done hacking?
Oh, yeah, you're still there. Go ahead. You're on the air with Nan and Adam, so happy birthday.
Thank you. I just wanted to tell Adam the message from the bathroom video was from long ago.
It was like she put it up on the screen and I was like, I was like, all right,
is that
well,
an inside joke?
I don't know, but I was like, we're talking about prison and cameras and Deaver and the police department, and I was like, well, there are no separate bathrooms when you're in a prison cell. So yes, you are a camera the entire time. Prison is not fun for people.
That's good.
And I don't know if I can sing happy birthday in a Minnesota accent, Noodles Mama. You know, I just don't know if I can do it, eh? But anyway, that we're getting other calls. So if you have a question, fire away, because now everybody's calling in now that the show's over. I love it. They wait till the end. Go ahead.
No, I don't have a question. I just had to point that out to Adam. That's it.
Thank you so much for calling in. And,
well, it was nice
I
to
hope you have
finally
a
hear
really
your
happy
voice.
birthday. Yeah, I'm sorry, Adam. Go ahead.
I was just saying it's nice to finally hear your voice. We talk on chats all the time, and it's weird when you don't actually know what people look like, they sound like, but you've spoken to them for months. So it's nice to actually hear your voice.
All right, we got another call, Noodles Mama. So thank you and have a good birthday. Okay?
I know what you look like, Adam. Thank you.
All right, bye-bye. All right, and let's see.
Call from.
Lori Reese.
To accept, press 1. To send a voice.
All right, we have somebody from Providence. What is your name?
Lori Reese.
Murray Reese. Okay. Well, welcome.
Lori Reese. Yep.
Okay.
Hi.
Do you have a question for the panel? We got someone else calling from Boston.
I actually
just give her a second. We'll get
I'd
you
like
on.
to tell the panel.
Please.
I actually would like to tell the panel. I may sound crazy, but that was Higgins giving him a crank call. Telling you.
Then he did a better
That was
job. Though,
Higgins.
he did a better job than he did on JFK show because he sounded exactly like
Lori
Higgins
Reese?
on that show. Okay. We got,
Lori.
Did you have anything else, or is that all? Did you have something else you want to tell everybody? No. She's listening through the computer. All right, we got another call, so thank you very much. Okay. All right.
Thank
bye-bye.
you.
Bye-bye.
Call from Pam.
All right, Pam, you are on the air with Nan Gallagher and attorney Adam Teper.
Hi, I'm calling from Norfolk County in Quincy, Massachusetts. And I love your show and you guys. And I just want to kind of remind everyone when you go off on these tangents and stuff that I think Adam's been touching upon it, that the sheer corruption is, like, I think the further away you are from Quincy and Norfolk County, the less it's really hard to really comprehend, I think, on a daily basis, like how corrupt these people are. And I don't know. Just remember that.
So
it's just really corrupt.
One of the great benefits of having Dennis Sweeney as a friend and calling him on a weekly basis, and John Camo and calling him on a weekly basis, is not only to check in just for friendship purposes, but they give us a feel for what's going on. I mean, I wouldn't call them if I didn't consider them friends, but that, and they give me a sense of what's happening. But yes, if you're not on the ground there, you don't feel it because you realize that you could be the next Karen.
Well, I also think that what's interesting is when people analyze, it's really hard. Your mind goes to what a normal person would do. What would Bev's motivation be? She's a judge. What would Hank, who has a career already, like, you can't help yourself. You go to like normal people, and we just always know that nobody's normal here.
So what do you think about Judge Bev?
You guys
Pam?
are great.
I'm sorry. What do you think of Judge Bev?
I think she was hanging by just being like that play along to get along.
Mm-hmm.
And then towards the end of the trial, number 2, it crossed over into pure corruption on her part. I thought everybody else was corrupt, the police, everything else. But she just, her meter went right over. Like there's a lot there. And, so that's just how I feel. And I don't know why she did it, but I'm sure she owed Morrissey something. But it better been pretty good because she's destroyed her career. So,
do you think so? Do you think she won't sit on the bench with the same authority, or would? Why? And this, I'm going to ask you this, Pam, and then I'm going to ask the entire panel here. Did Judge Bev ruin her career, and if so, how? I want to start with you, Pam, and then we'll have you listen on air, and we'll get everybody else's reaction to that question.
She ruined her career as far as any other big cases. If she wants to go back into her little hole and into her little courtroom and be the queen of that, if that's her objective, then maybe she didn't ruin it. Okay. But if she wanted to have any kind of major case or any, she ruined like what you and I would think would be what somebody's legacy would want to be.
Thank you so much for your call, Pam. We have
you're welcome. Great.
Rome, Georgia, call back in and we'll get you on. Thank you so much, Pam. I appreciate you. Okay.
All right. Take care. Bye-bye.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Bye.
Okay. Rome, Georgia, just give us a call back. I just didn't want to cut Pam off in mid-sentence, but call us back. We'll get you on. And then go ahead, Bia. Did she ruin her career?
I think she did. And look at how many people have ruined their careers. So in addition, and I have one question, was it worth it? Because there would have been, maybe a handful of people that would have been potentially that got away with murder, and all these people are losing their jobs and being rehomed.
Kathy.
Out on leave, retired.
To send a voicemail.
I agree, Bia.
Hey, Kathy, you're on the air. Let me get Adam and Nan to answer that. Lawrence, Mass. We got to have you call when we just took a call. So I want to get you in, but go ahead, Adam. I want you guys to answer these in rapid fashion because we're sort of over time. Did she ruin her career? And if so, how, Adam?
I don't think she ruined her career, unfortunately, in the ways that we want to hope she does. But I do think she ruined her reputation. She was known for having a stellar reputation as an attorney and a judge prior to this. But the problem is she is.
And if you turn off YouTube in the background, that's what we're hearing. Go ahead.
The problem is she's the head justice in the Norfolk Superior Court. So unless the CJC acts on her, she doesn't answer to somebody. So she's going to keep doing her job the way she's always done her job. And yeah, she might not have the respect of the attorneys in front of her, but she's not going to face any consequences unless we have the Commission for Judicial Conduct, the CJC in Massachusetts, and unless they choose to act on her behavior, she's not going to answer to anybody. And we have these kind of issues in Massachusetts. I'm not going to name names, but there's one particular judge in Massachusetts that was up in the Salem area that was actually so bad that the legislation drafted, they drafted bills and stuff. They drafted something to get her removed from the bench. And then it went to the State House and the State House wouldn't sign off on it. So she got moved to Boston so they can keep a closer eye on her. But she's still actively practicing from the bench, even after getting in so much trouble that most of the state didn't want her practicing as a judge anymore. So, unless the CJC wants to take action on her, I don't think that she's destroyed her career in the way that we think or hope. But I do think she's ruined the amount of respect she has from attorneys across the state.
First of all, thank you for that anecdote, because that really does help, and it is consistent with what we understand to be Massachusetts corruption. Nan, your thoughts on any aftershock for Judge Bev, and then we're going to get to Kathy's question.
I think that Judge Bev, her name might come out in some discovery in Aiden's matter. That's what I think. I don't know.
That'd be cool.
But I have
I'd love that.
I can't stand her because all these people, one of our folks, and I'm sorry I didn't get everybody's question in, but there was a lot to get through tonight. But one of our folks said that that it's all too easy for these people to lie, and there is no oath that is sacred whatsoever, not from the troopers. People say, "Do you swear to tell the truth, whole truth, nothing but truth, so help you God?" I do, and then they begin with a lie within 45 seconds of saying that oath that they know is false, just like the whole taillight, spreading the damn taillight on the lawn. It's just crazy that nobody, and the judge's oath, which is as sacrosanct, if not more than anybody involved in this case. And she crapped all over, she squatted down and crapped all over that oath. So Nan, I'm sorry, go ahead with that lengthy preamble.
I have a feeling, I just have a sneaking suspicion that her name is on emails as a recipient. Emails that perhaps involve Morrissey. So it's just a feeling, it's a sixth sense, and we'll see. I don't think she ruined her career, but people have a habit of retiring. I know there's word that she will retire. I know that. I think she's at least approaching the age of retirement, but I think I even heard Guarino is thinking of retiring. People often retire to avoid the very anesthetic light of truth and transparency. So
Guarino, you can understand who wouldn't want to be making cannolis in a great Italian bakery? Like, to me, that seems like a reasonable, Italian cookies. Anyway, I'm sorry, somebody's calling in.
As somebody who goes to all those Italian bakeries in the North End, please stay out of them. I enjoy them too much. Don't do it.
Yeah, we don't want Guarino's cannolis. Please, Kathy, go ahead. Is it Kathy? Did I get your name right or no?
Yeah, Kathy's right. I'm definitely from the South, so I don't know anything about the North. I do know about Solo Cup, And I do know about being a nurse for a very long time. And the one thing that I didn't understand was that they tested the blood from just one of those solo cups, but the other ones, they just left. I'm like, and I never could figure out, was there somebody else's blood in any of those other 5 solo cups, or we just have to test one? So that's just my comment. But as far as Bev and ruining her career, well, she might retire, but she better not come to Florida or to the South, because she's not going to be inconvenient. We're going to all know who she is.
Yeah, New Orleans apparently is her place where she goes, Kathy. She goes to New Orleans to probably gamble and drink
they
frozen
found her.
cocktails. Yeah.
They found her down on Bourbon Street, called her out. So people in the South, they're going to be calling her out.
Oh my!
For those who don't know, Bev's son practices.
I'm sorry. Go ahead. Both of you were talking at the same time. Go ahead and finish, Kathy, and then we'll get Adam's comment that Judge Bev's son.
I'm just saying that I don't think there's any place that she's going to go in the world that people aren't going to know where she's at. Right. So you guys are probably just stuck with her. Even if she retires, you're going to see her at the Cape, but she's probably not coming to the Gulf Shores of Georgia. They found her in New Orleans. I don't think she's going to go to Los Angeles where AJ's at, or any of those places. So she's yours, and you guys are just going to have to deal with her. Bye, guys. Have a good night.
Bye. Thank you, Kathy. Bye-bye. Okay. All right, we got
call from.
What happened? Oh, Harrison, Arkansas. Call back in. We lost you, Harrison, Arkansas. So we'll get you as the last call. Her long pauses had me wondering, what the hell? Yeah, man. Judge Bev really is a special kind of a. I think if I were to see her on Bourbon Street, I would just say you should really be ashamed of yourself. You call yourself a judge the way with how you treat the defense counsel versus how you treat the prosecution. You should be ashamed. Here it comes. Okay.
Yeah, her son practices in New Orleans. That's why she was down there.
Gotcha.
Press 1 to send a voicemail.
How you treat the prosecution.
Okay, who do we have on air? We have someone from Harrison, Arkansas, but you have YouTube on the background. You're going to need to sort of turn that down so you don't hear us twice. Who am I speaking with?
This is CC. I just turned the sound off.
Yes, ma'am. Go ahead.
I have never called your show. I've watched your show since you started
Thank you.
covering the trial. I just want to say a big thank you to each and every one of you all who, man, you're an amazing woman. You're brilliant.
Thank you.
I kind of felt like that other lady, that first caller, just kind of made me think it might have been Higgins. He is suffering from consciousness of guilt so bad. And I don't know about the second time, if that was the same exact caller or not. But if it was, shame on you, Higgy. And I am an old woman. I am a boomer, okay? And your generation, a while ago, DJ, you said something about Karen not being a minority. Mm-hmm. No, she's a Caucasian. She's not that kind of minority, but she's a woman. And I thought back in the day, in my young days, that we already went through women's lib. Mm-hmm. But I'm from New Orleans, okay? Originally. But I can tell you that chauvinistic, misogynistic. You know,
Yep.
I'm so nervous.
Yep, it's okay.
Yeah,
don't be nervous. You're among friends.
I'm gonna tell you what. I watched both trials. How after the first trial, the jury didn't come back within an hour or two and say not guilty on everything, I don't know. I called I was on the phone with JFK. I mean, not on the phone with JFK, but I have called him several times and talked to him. Mm-hmm. He was covering the waterfall all the time. I kept wanting somebody to cover Dr. Stonebridge's testimony because that woman was brilliant. You know, I mean, she was a 4 times board certified neuropathologist. Mm-hmm. And if after her testimony, you didn't see that he got beat He had damage to his frontal lobe, his left lobe, his right lobe. It wasn't just the fall back to the back of his head. Yeah, that did him in. And like, according to the Irish doctor in the first trial, it probably knocked him out to where he wasn't suffering anymore, maybe. But, you know, it was clear. And I couldn't believe they put Karen through another trial on all the charges again. And all of y'all stood by her side. And man, you come along and you helped all the creators. And DJ, you went there. And Beatrice, you were on the boots on the ground.
Mm-hmm.
And I watched you, and I'm telling you, thank you. I'm a woman, and I appreciate it because, and you know, Bev, oh gosh, I'm glad I'm not in New Orleans anymore. But that woman there, let me tell you what, Dr. Bederow, if y'all watch her testimony again very carefully, as Miss Alessi is trying to get her to talk about Dr. Stonebridge, Brennan and Bev are just, he's objecting, she's sustaining. He's objecting, she's sustaining.
Mm-hmm.
And you could watch Dr. Bederow looking at them both going, what the heck is going on with you two? Why can't I answer these questions? And then they went to sidebar. And then Alessi wasn't allowed to talk about Stonebridge anymore because Brennan didn't call Stonebridge. And that was upsetting me very much because I was worried the defense wasn't going to be able to call her. But they called Dr. Lapasato, who I think was amazing.
Dynamite.
And she was dynamite. And she shut Brennan down. And he was nothing but a snake. And Bev, I think she was in on the part about the holes in the shirt. If you watch her, I think she knew that was coming. I really do think she knew that was coming. And I hope the feds are watching everything, and I hope they're still watching for Aiden and everything else. But I'm thanking you guys from the bottom of my heart, and I wish I could say it to everybody that's in boots on the ground. Tom CPU was the first person I ever watched because I knew the case was coming up, and I happened to catch him one day. Freezing cold, miserable weather out there trying to film, waiting for people to come out of court from one of the hearings. And it just blew my mind. And, you know, watched all you people just have so much strength and loyalty and determination that they were not going to get away with this. And y'all could tell. And I don't know how everybody in America and the world couldn't tell right off the bat that this was a bunch of BS all the way through. Gaslighting, treating women with such disrespect. It was unbelievable. And it still goes on in our world. And I hate it. And I am proud, though, of my children's generation. And I think, DJ, all of y'all are in that same generation. I don't think you're old. I'm old.
I'm 58. I mean, I'm not young. So I'm also I'm
fixing to be.
How old are you, darling?
I'm fixing to be 71. So I got a little bit on you.
You got a couple years.
Yeah, but you know, when I was working years ago, young woman, you know, this stuff went on all the time. And in the late 70s, I became an automobile salesperson, okay? And I was one of the first women doing that back then. And it's not an easy world. Prior to that, I was tending bar, so I can read people pretty good, you know, and you people are wonderful. And I love y'all's accent and everybody in Boston and all. And I just have, my heart is just so thrilled that this jury did the right thing. I don't know what happened with the last one, but I was just so thrilled for Karen and her family and her parents and all of you that worked so hard in trying to bring this all to light and explaining the law. I guess I grew up with Perry Mason. My dad loved Perry Mason. I watched Perry Mason all the time. So I've kind of watched YouTube, you know, the law tube, the lawyers. I mean, that's who I was used to watching. Then I started watching all the local creators, you know, but like Runkle and Rob and Andrea and Emily Baker and all them.
One thing I want to say.
All their show. I used to watch.
Nashville, Tennessee, call
But,
on back. You could be our last call. We got Nashville calling in. I don't know. Is that the glare?
Oh, I need to let you go.
That's all good. Thank you. Fellow Arkansan here. I lived in North Little Rock. But call in again. Okay, darling?
Well, I'm a New Orleanian. I moved here because of my husband.
Uh-huh.
He was from here. I met him in the car business down in New Orleans. And he talked me into moving up here by his parents. And in 2008, he was killed in an automobile accident. That was the other thing. I have 4 grown adult children. And one's in Sweden, one's in North Carolina, one's in Oklahoma, and one's here with me. And it's just like, I don't know how as a mom, you would not want to know the medical behind what killed your son. You know, and I never understood that. And my heart goes out to the Okus. However,
she didn't want to know.
They weren't in it for the Dr. Stone. No, they didn't.
No.
They didn't. You know, and I'm just so proud of the women these days, and y'all, my son's wives and my daughters, and you know, we've come a long way, and just keep on learning from past mistakes that us humans have made in the past. Love you guys.
Take care, darling. Thanks for calling. All right. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye. Thank you for calling.
All right.
Can I just? I don't want to jump down a rabbit hole, but since
Sure.
you were talking about Arkansas courts are no better than Massachusetts courts. The West Memphis 3 was a case that I've been obsessed with since I was a little kid. They have a hearing coming up soon to actually see if they can get DNA tested after 25 years. Test the effing evidence. Stop being like Massachusetts and do better.
Yeah, Johnny Depp was, I think, one of the people that was advocating for them. So, yeah, that's correct. We do also have a super chat for Nan Gallagher from NH Dude. Just because you all rock, saying a special hello to Nan. Had to pull over and show some love from New Hampshire.
Hey, thank you so much, Steve.
Awesome. All right. You know who it is. That's excellent. So that is great. Oh, yeah. Here's somebody, grave concern. Thank you. Three clerk, Monty, you've been just awesome tonight. Been totally awesome. Thank you so much. I have a feeling I think that's Clerk Jim Clown. I'm not sure, but it sounds like the same vibe. We could definitely do more. We're going to have to save it for later. We did some good overtime, but all the call, like I said, what was going to happen? They weren't going to call for most of the show, and then they're come one after another. And we missed probably four or so calls of people. So thank you so much, Adam, for taking the time to come back and hang out with us, and your buddy Nan Gallagher.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure being here, guys.
Yeah, I appreciate you. We will for sure do it again, because from what you guys told us tonight, we are nowhere near done covering Karen, because there's just so many more motions to file, right, Bia?
Yep.
Got a lot of mo for you. A lot of mo.
Well, you got Aiden in there. You got the civil trial coming up. There's just and all these, now we have the AJ letters. Like, things are happening, and the Bederow letters and all the things. So
yeah, and free Turtle Boy. Every donation tonight is going to the Turtle Boy Defense Fund. So I will tally those up, and I will send those to the Turtle. And somebody else is calling unknown. I'm not even going to go with it. Because that could be Higgy Poo. I don't know who that is.
Yeah, just blame him.
No one known phone calls.
I know, Higgy, I know you got on JFK's show, but you're not getting on my show. So right. I hope, I don't need or want you on this show. You haven't earned it with your behavior and your empathy for another human being that was in distress. So that's where I leave you. Thank you, Boston Bia. Thank you, Nan. Thank you, Adam. Thank you, all the people who came in the chat, whether you donated or not donated. It was just a pleasure and an honor to have all of you here interacting with our guests, making them feel so welcome, that one douchebag aside. Thank you, everybody. We love you. Thank you, mods. You guys were awesome. And as
two douchebags, two.
We believe it was the same douchebag using.
I don't believe that.
No. Oh, he's calling back again. So, but yeah, I don't think I can. I don't think I could fake it because I don't know who it is. Unknown, you know, come up in the chat and tell us who you are in the chat, and then we'll, you know, maybe we would take your call, but we're gonna have to save it for later. So on behalf of my guests and the my co-host and our moderators and all of you in the chat, this is DJ saying peace out, one love,